Got that done for you guys. This is the DIY tutorial, step-by-step how to install these new Kenwood units in the PX1 Ranger 2011 to 2015. We've been promising that for a while. Now on our YouTube, Carbon Car Systems, but not a hard install. Retains those steering wheel controls. You got USBs, Apple CarPlay, adjustable angles on the screen, CD behind. This top display you can either leave disconnected or connected. It will retain the date and time on there, or if you have the optical sensors, they will also still stay on that screen. But these new units are going to have reverse cameras anyway, but definitely worth the upgrade from some of those other cheaper options that you see on the market. And we make this plug and play for you and show you how easy it is to do. It's really not that hard. It's our biggest and most popular seller, the Ford Ranger PX1. Here we are, PX1 Ranger. This replacement kit will suit anything 2011 to 2015, okay? It can be this model with this little LCD display up here, or on the higher range like the Wild Tracks and other models in this series. This had optical sensors and reverse sensors would show on here. Now, the new model will put a big screen down here. Obviously, we're gonna replace all this. The new model will blank a lot of that off, so you can just see a little bit of the screen. You can leave that screen so it lights up blue. It doesn't give you all the information anymore because we're gonna put the new unit in with tons more features. So that new screen, if you had the optical sensors, like the higher ranges, like the reverse sensors, it would still show the display on there if you wanna keep it, okay? So you don't have to disconnect it, but you can disconnect it. So you don't even have to use that, and it's not colored at night and blue and bright in your eyes. Up the top here, you got this whole new unit, which is adjustable brightness, okay? So be aware, there is two different versions of the screen in the car, but the kit will fit both. It's not something to stress about. First step, make sure you turn the car on, eject any CDs, because if you have it in here, by the time you disconnect it, you're not gonna be able to use it anymore, right? You're not gonna be able to get it out. Next step, we're gonna pull this forward. So we're gonna start from underneath. We're gonna use a non-marring pry bar like we always do, these plastic bars. I've been saying we're gonna put these on our website for a while. We actually have kits coming in, two-piece kits. They are gonna be up on our website probably within about 2 weeks, okay? So we're trying them out. We were just waiting on a real good quality one that we thought we would put up that was quite affordable. You don't want to spend too much on it. So you're going to push the bar behind the plastic panel and just sort of lever it forward. The reason for these is just so you don't scratch any of the original dash, okay? And this all just sort of pushes off and pulls forward. It can be a little bit tight, so just sort of hold it with your hand. There we go. So it's not too bad. I made it sound hard. All right, on the back here, you've just got a couple of plugs that we're gonna undo. Again, with everything on our videos, you just gotta push the plug and let it go. They just all got locking tabs on them. So a little bit stiff if they're old. There you go, that's the old unit off. So that's virtually all the old unit out. We are gonna undo a couple of things. We're gonna undo the top screws here. We're gonna undo the screws on the side of this unit because this is gonna come out. We're gonna undo this harness across the top as well. So I'm gonna put this on the bench, we'll come back and we'll show you that. Left and right of the unit itself is just Phillips head screwdrivers, okay? 2 screws on either side. Oh, very easy to get out, but just don't want to drop them. There we go, there's 1, 2. If you got a magnetic head screwdriver, it's always easier not to drop these things. Small Phillips head on the top, we're gonna undo those while we're at it. They're not hard to undo. All right, and we can pull that out, pull it forward. There we go. Oh, there you go. That's the factory antenna that just came off there. So you gotta be careful when you're pulling that out. They get stuck. So there you go. So what we'll do is we'll fix that up and then we'll show you how to connect the antenna adapter. But if you're pulling that out, just be gentle. That was obviously stuck behind the panel. All right, we just unplug this at the rear and that's done. And typically you would unplug that. So there's a little button on the bottom. You can press it and these are super tight. Let's see if we can get it out. Oh God. Very tight. So that is a locking tab. I would usually use a tool. I'll show you on the bench for that one to get that one out, but that is super tight. Anyway, we'll fix that up. So pull this top screen up and we're gonna undo this latching as well. This has just got a button on the back here. You're just gonna press that in and flick it off, and that will pull off the screen, okay? Now we're gonna loosen all that off because it's gonna plug into our new system. Gonna use a set of pliers here. You can use a lever tool. And all you're gonna do is just pull on this tape, get this off, put this behind them, and lever these out. These are just little lugs, okay? You can just use anything to lever them. But that's gonna plug into our new unit, and we might undo that one as well. Let's get that one, give us a bit of leeway. There we go. All right, so now we've got plenty of room on that, and that's actually gonna plug into our new unit, and we're gonna run another cable back up to the factory screen, okay? And that's gonna do all our steering wheel control interfacing. Now, these kits have recently been updated. They actually do include the middle button now, the voice activation button and the phone buttons. Sorry, the voice activation button will not work. Sorry, the phone buttons will. It does dual function now. That's a recent update to these kits that we've had in the last couple of weeks. So anyway, we're gonna fix this antenna up and pull that out. We're gonna show you on the bench that quickly. Here we are with the antenna. We're just gonna squeeze that button because it was super tight, and there you go, they lift off. So that's the old antenna. That would normally stay in the car, and we're gonna plug the new one into it. So let me show you that while we're here actually. So it's simple as this. This is the new antenna. That would plug into it in the car, and that will go to your aftermarket radio. So we're just gonna solder that back on and put it back in the car. Okay, so now we've got the screen out. We're gonna do a lot of the harnessing, but we're gonna prep the area in here to make it as easy as possible when you do the harnessing, because a lot of people don't do this and it damages harnesses and stuff around afterwards. So let's just put all the harnesses in out of the way. First step, we're gonna just trim this little plate because it's a doubled in size and this is doubled in width, you know, 7-inch corner to corner. But when you put it in, it doesn't fit that well. It needs to adjust a little bit. So this is gonna give us that adjustment. So what we're gonna do is just get a blade and we're gonna trim across the bottom here. So it's actually not that hard to do. You're just gonna get a blade and make sure it's sharp. And I'm shaking there just because it's quite, there we go. Once you get moving, it's all right. It's just the angle. Come up, done, down, and then she's off, okay? So it's hard with a little bit of one hand. We can go back and neaten that side up. Done. All right, so that's nice and neat, okay? And that's just gonna give us a little bit of play in the unit. So just zoom out, Dave, and just show you there. So side to side, keeps it clean. Now, the other thing we like to do on this is we're gonna drill a hole in the back here, because if I grab this light, and I'll try and show you, so make it easy. There's a hole in here we're gonna go up with for our cables. It's gonna come out the top here, all right? Now, if you're not using this top screen and you don't want to connect that, you don't have to do this part of it, okay? It's only if you want to connect this top screen. The unit, this new unit will work without it. You can put the screen back in and just have it look black, put something up there if you want, put a photo, whatever you want to put up there, I don't care. It's just another little pocket then. If you want to use it that way, you don't have to do this part. So you can skip this, so don't stress about it. But on the right here, because when we put the unit in, the doubled in's this wide, it's gonna have the cable come out here and up into here, and that will push right against this little section. So we use a stepper drill and we drill that whole section out, because you don't want to be drilling anywhere else because there's cables, right? But if you drill this section out, it gives us a little bit of room for your loom to come up and in without, when you slide it in, you're not going to get it caught. So we're going to show you that quickly for those of you that want to do that. So this is a stepper drill, all right? And we're just going to zoom back and I'll show you. Got there? Yep. How you reckon? You're not going to damage anything. There you go. It's just a bit of plastic, bit of room. And that should be enough. We might clean that up with a little bit of a knife quickly as well. But that just gives us a little bit for the loom to sit in, okay? It's a little round knob section. You can try and cut it, but it's double thickness there. It's really hard to cut. But when we push the unit in, the cable will come up the top, out of here, around into this section. That's it, a quick drill. But like I said, don't have to do it if you don't want to. All right. So underneath, you do have a factory USB and an AUX port. Now, you can't retain these on these kits, unfortunately, but the new Kenwood does come with a new unit. Two new USBs, sorry. Wireless Bluetooth, so Bluetooth music, USB, so you don't really need the AUX. But this gentleman wants to be able to easily access the plug for charging and also for that Apple CarPlay Android Auto. So on the back here, you can actually just unplug it. There's a little locking tab on the top. I think there's one, might be on the bottom as well. Let me have a look. And you're just gonna press that. Oh, it's just the top. So just press it and it will unlock. So there you go. That will undo the USB. And that's just a USB for the factory loom. So we're not gonna retain that. You can get rid of the AUX plug on the back as well. So you see that's it there, it's just gonna be an empty hole. Now, the easiest way to do this, sorry, excuse the camera light there. We're gonna take one of the new USB extensions, and this is a very, very common part, so you don't have to worry too much about damaging or whatever. You can always get thinner ones, smaller ones, but we can actually put that through there and have the female end sitting out for any other cables, and it's gonna sit there nice and neat. So what we do is we actually just trim this side bit. You can actually trim it with a knife, or your cutters, whatever you get around. You're not gonna see this section, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to look pretty. You can put some, you know, some tape on it afterwards if you want to. But as you can see here, it's just metal. You're not gonna damage it. You're just getting rid of the rubber casing. And that way you can actually push it through, right? And that's gonna be an easy USB access point for this gentleman. So, beautiful. That's gonna sit up there, sits there nice and neat, or he can tuck it into that hole down there, whatever cables he has, and he has easy access to it, all right? Nice and easy. Next step, Kenwood has dual USBs, which is great. So make sure that one there in the center console that you're gonna use for Apple CarPlay, Android Auto is the black one. The gray one, which they give you, we always put it in the glove box as a little spare. And you actually should be able to stick your hands behind here and run it. Let's see if we can do that quickly. Yep, there you go. How easy was that? There's the USB in the glove box, and that's 2 of our peripherals done. Now, we do need to do an external microphone and a DAB plus antenna on this one. We have the AM/FM radio, but it also has a DAB plus antenna for those guys that want those extra radio stations. Now, if you don't have the DAB unit, you buy the Mechless one. Doesn't have DAB plus. You don't have to do this external antenna. If you want DAB radio stations, there's an app called MyTuner Radio. Free to download, free to use, has all the DAB stations, web radio stations, AM/FM, everything. So, you don't necessarily have to go for that unit to get the DAB stuff, okay? And it'll probably save you install time if you don't have to do the antenna as well. What we'll do is we're gonna show you the plug and play harnesses for the rest of it, which is very, very easy to do, so you don't have to fret too much. These come out the bottom, so we have them out the bottom for the climate control. Okay, now, here's our harness. This is it. We've pre-loomed it all for you. You don't have to sweat on this one either. This part here goes into the back of the Kenwood unit. Okay, very easy. It goes all the way around into this box, and you'll notice here we have a plug that's open. We've already used all the other ports, and there's only one there. The one from the screen that you pulled down, that we put all the lugs off, goes in there now, and it will lock into place, okay? All right, so that will just clip into place. Very easy. Now, the reason we do that, it's gonna give us tons and tons of room to work. Now, the only other plugs that you have are the main power harness, which is straightforward. It literally just goes in. They can be a little bit tight. Here we go. Done, that's the main power harnesses. Then you've got your stereo one that goes there. We have this small little 4-pin plug, which will plug onto the speaker that we mounted on your fascia already, so we'll leave that out. We've done a twisted pair here for if you're gonna run a reverse camera. So you would mount that at the rear, run it all the way down. We've run one here, we're gonna show you in a minute, and I'll show you how to wire that for those of you who don't have an existing reverse camera, and this will give it to you, all right? So that's pretty easy. Now, I will show you how to go up to the top screen on this other section. So this is a new section out of that little black box. So you'll notice we plug the old screen plug into that box, and then it comes out of that box and back up into the screen. So that is to retain some of the screen features if you want to retain those, okay? It's honestly gonna be a blue light, and it's really only worth getting the optical sensors. Like, you don't need the clock anymore, you don't need anything. You can just push this up through here. You should be able to get it up without any tools, really. You just sort of fiddle around. Let's have a look, see if we can get it. Yep, there we go. So there's a little bit of room there. And I've just got a cord on something, hang on. There we go, up and out. Now, that's why we did that little loop in there. So as you can see here, when you push the unit in, it's gonna sit from behind there because the screen's gonna come right up to this edge. So that will just make this box, we can hide it back here, and the looms are out of the way. So look how clean that is. So it's a little drill hole, but it's right behind, you're never gonna see it. And that will plug into the screen. In fact, we might plug that in right now. Here's the screen. That will go in, upside down, wrong way. Oh, we've got the locking tab already open, so we've got to make sure that's open before you plug it in. And when you push that down, it should lock into place. Hang on, I haven't opened it far enough. Let's open this up. So this squeezes together, there we go. So that's open all the way now. And that will plug in, and when you push it in, she'll lock into place. Now that actually can go back. As you can see, the clocks are working again. So if you want to retain that clock, that's fine. But the new radio will have all that. So personally, I don't really like the blue light on at night. But there you go, that is there. You don't have to plug that in. It will still work without it. It can just be a blank screen. So that's pretty well easy. All right, so we also had that antenna, we fixed it all up. And as you can see, the tape that we use on this is the same as the factory cloth tape, okay? So it keeps it all looking genuine. It's all plugged in, very easy to do. We will do our external microphone now, DAB antenna, because it's nice just to show you in the video. And we also have the GPS antenna, which we talked about earlier as well. We can open that up and mount that up. That can actually go anywhere under here. You just want to keep it out of the way of the stereo. You don't want it on top of the stereo. Some of you can mount it up here and run through the same hole, come down. Whatever suits you, really. It can, as long as there's no metal above it, it's just got to get clear line of sight through your windscreen, through plastic, to get no interference, but it can actually be under your dash, all right? Now, we want to run our mic up to the center behind the rear vision mirror. We're going to pull this panel off. It's really easy. Non-mounting pry bar again, just stick it behind. These pop off. They're rubber, so you're not going to damage those. They're really easy to get off. And then I'm going to use a socket set. The size of this is, it's an unusual size. It's Imperial, it's 7/32 inch, okay? 7/32 inch. And I'm just going to undo those quickly. There we go, she's already loose. And she's off, okay? So then put that out of the way. Now this rubber, you can literally just pull that off. It's a pinch weld, push back on, and then this will pop forward, okay? Just gonna make sure you get the clip. There's a clip down the bottom. There we go. You can actually pull that off, put it on your dash out of the way. We'll show you how to clip that back in. Now, we're gonna run the cables around here. You just gotta tape it up down the edge with all the factory looms to keep them out of the way of the holes. And here we go. We're gonna put our microphone in. Here we go, double-sided tape up in the center, line it up, nice and neat, nice and straight. Perfect. All right. Now we loop this behind the roof lining, and you can tuck it up there nice and neat. Now, you want to give it a little bit of, you don't want to pull it too tight because you want it to sit up there. I like to pull it back and loop it over this side because then it's never going to yank through. And what we tend to do is we tend to put a bit of double-sided tape on that to hold it up in that lining, and that's your microphone. So the reason we try and do it in the center is so you and your passenger can both talk, and it's nice and clear. It's near your voice, away from the wind of the window. Now there is actually a little hole there you can actually sit it in. So there you go, nice and neat. Next, DAB antenna. If you have an on-glass DAB antenna for the extra radio stations, that's what is in this flat little pack. These are quite easy to put on. You just got to mind your fingers. Make sure your window's clean, relatively clean, so that's no problem. They give you a little wet wipe if you do want to wash it. This one is clean. It's just dirty on the outside, so we're not going to do that because it will take time to dry. Now, you pull this part of it off. This is your main antenna section, and you also get a clear section, and it's labeled 1, 2. Pull the one off, okay? Keep your fingers to the sides of it because you don't want to put finger marks on it, okay? Because it is, there's a hair on the back of that one. Let's get that off there. You don't want to put any finger marks on it. So it's really easy to stick on. You're just going to make sure it's vertical, stick it near the edge, and you can peel it as you go, and she'll stick on straight, okay? So there you go. Very easy to do. You can just push your bubbles out, just like a sticker, and then you can pull the number 2 off, okay? Very clear. You want to come off the edge a little bit. You don't want to have it too close because when you put this flat section on it, the paneling's still got to go on. Now, this one here, you just undo these little ties and clip them off. All right, and then we're going to undo the double-sided tape on this and on this bit. This bit's a little bit really sticky, this one, so I'm going to try and clip it off with this bit. There we go. It's just hard to start, that's all. Now, you have a little golden tab here. This little golden tab has to sit on the little square metal bit. And you just line them up. All right, done. Stuck on, double-sided tape. That's the connectivity. And then this other black metal strip will fold around and onto the metal of the car. And all that does is give it a better signal. Uses the body, the chassis of the car to give it a good signal. Now, we're gonna untangle these. There we go, again. Beautiful, untangled. Now we have our microphone here and we have our DAB antenna. And I think I have some tape here, so I'm gonna tape this up and make sure it's out of the way for when we put our panel back on. I find the easiest way to do this is just to put little bits of tape along the way. And it's just gotta hold there while you're putting a panel on. It's not actually gonna affect anything if you don't have it on there massively tight. You just want to make sure it's not hanging out the side here on the window. All right, that's done, out of the way of all these holes and screw holes. And what we're going to do is going to put a bit of tape around these together so they sit in place. And that one there can go back a bit. Did that on purpose to give it a bit of leeway. I'll stick that down. I'll stick this part down as well. That's actually where it goes into the clip section. Okay, that's done. Now we're going to loop it around the outside here. And we'll probably get you to come over the other side so you can see this, but I'm going to put this panel on first. So that can all tie up nice and neat. You can tie that up a little bit. It should sit behind. There we go. And you can put this panel on, and this just slides back in. And you're just going to make sure the cable's out of the way, so it's pretty close. There's a hole it'll line up, and she clips on. Now, you can just put that handle back on, do it up, and as you can see, it's just a short little cable. Sits nice and neatly on the side there. And if you were to put the weld back on, let me do that quickly. So the weld just pushes back on all the way down. Now we're just going to come across and up into the center console. Come around, it's we'll show you on the other side. It's pretty easy to flick under and we'll tie it up. So these are hanging out now. We sort of put a little bit of tape around these to keep them loomed together. And what we're going to do is run under the glove box and we're going to tie it up and poke it up into the center. Now this gentleman has a few cables here, so just ignore those. We have a reverse camera which we run earlier, so we're going to loop that up into the stop. You would mount that at the rear, run along the bottom, come up through the floor and over into the center console. But very easy to do. Let's push these out of the way. That's our handle back on. Now, this just loops around. You can actually just pull this back, this little kick panel, and go right under this little section, okay? There you go, popped all the way off. And you can go under that and on the inside as well, and that will just push on, and you push your pinch weld on. And that's out of the way, it's never gonna get damaged, okay? So underneath here, all we wanna do is loop this over or tie it up with some tape to other cables or cable ties, whatever you wanna do. So we loop it over and then we put tape around it, and you can just stick your hand up and in. Now another way is you can actually pull this glove box out. I'm pretty sure these just pop up. There we go. Just pull it up and you squeeze the top together. That's the glove box out of the way. So that's going to give you a ton of room. He's got a CB radio down here. Now when you've done that, you can just loop your cables up and up into the center and just tie them up out of the way. Then you just put your panel back in, you push it on and clip it up. So easy. So here we go. That's how easy that is. Like we just literally just stick our Yamaha in. There's our mic, DAB antenna. We're going to do our reverse camera. So we ran a reverse camera. If you get these kits from us, we're going to give you a free reverse camera. So most of you guys don't have them. But like I said, if you already had an existing terrible unit in there, you might have had a reverse camera and you can retain that. But buy the kit from us, you get it for free anyway. And it's a high quality, high resolution, great night vision, really easy to use. You're just going to mount them at the rear. Cool thing is we've done the trigger work up here, so you don't even need to tap into your rear lights. You just mount the camera, run it all the way forward, and we've got 2 wires, or 1 wire on our camera, but 2 wires on everyone else's camera, and that will actually work. All right, so that's just the USB. We'll put that glove box in. Let's just put that in. That won't be too hard. Just line it up on the holes at the back, clip it, get your USB that we ran earlier, and straight in. That's how easy that is. And then we have our mic, our dual USBs, our DAB antenna, and our reverse camera. So we're going to loop these up, make them a bit shorter just to keep it neater. Keep the reverse camera out, and we're going to tape up this DAB antenna. So we're going to leave a little bit of length there. Now looping these, we don't crush the cables, give them a bit of loop, just so they don't bend and break, but they're pretty solid these days. I'll cut my hand there somehow. Okay. Now the actual, what we're going to show you is the reverse trigger. This is the reverse trigger, here we go. We've done a power and earth for you because some cameras need power and earth. If you're using our camera, we've designed it to work with the Kenwoods and other units as well, but the Kenwood earths through this shield. So you actually only need to do the 1 wire. So you got the red wire. But if you had a black wire up here, if you'd ran it, you would use the green wire's earth, purple and white is the reverse. So what you do, you can either crimp these together. We're going to solder them together. You use the purple wire. We've left a tag on here that says reverse, and we've already wired it up to the reverse CAN bus unit or the software unit in the car to give you the reverse. Okay, so this will power your camera on and also tell your screen to flick over. So we're going to twist those together and we're going to solder that and then just tape it up so it's nice and neat. And literally, that's all our wiring. We actually ran the GPS there as well quickly. That was from the top down. We went, instead of going up to that hole, we ran top down. That gave us heaps of room for that. Now, we just have to do the brackets and plug it all in. Tricky is here, we're going to test fit the bracketing first because it is completely adjustable and they do vary a little bit, you know, for different head units, okay? So different head units have different holes on the side. We're going to show you the Kenwood one and we're going to try and make that as easy as possible as well. But let's solder that and we'll show you that. On the bench, we want to take these lugs off the back of the fascia. The reason being, actually you can lift them off. We're going to use a pick and show you, but you can actually just lift them off, just flex off. You want to get them off first because you got to trial fit these brackets to make sure your radio is going to fit really nice. Because like I said, depending on the radio you're using, we sell these with the Kenwoods, so we're going to show you how it lines up on the Kenwoods. So we're going to make the hard work done, but we're going to show you how these go on the side and you're going to trial fit it with this. So what happens is we mount the brackets on the back of the stereo, on the side of the stereo, and we sit this in the car and make sure it's going to fit. Now, another thing is we give you this harness. You can leave this off, okay, just to keep the cables out of the way. You've still got this bottom one anyway. And we do have to move over the heater controls. We're going to do that last though, okay? We're going to make sure we get the brackets and the stereo in the position first because it's just easier. So let's grab the stereo. Now, you are going to get some cables and some screws. You get some screws with the Kenwood deck, and that's going to work for the Kenwood stereo. And we're going to get a drill. I'm going to screw a drill here, just Phillips head screwdriver, right? And we're going to do our brackets. Now, you got left and right on the brackets here. And these lugs line up with the brackets on the side of the car from the old radio. Okay, so one says left, one says right. When it talks about that, it's when you're looking at the stereo, the one that says L goes on the left. Now, reason being we're going to trial fit is because these have to go on a slight angle in the car. And we don't really know what that is, but it's something like that. Okay, now don't take me for that. Take my word for that one at the moment because I could be getting it upside down. It might be the other way. But anyway, I think it's this way. And we're just going to screw that in for now. And I'm going to show you exactly how it's going to fit. So I'm going to take the hard work out of it. But we are going to just put them in for now. Okay. And then I'm going to show you. First step, get all these cables out of the way. The reason being,
Makes your life easier.
So you're going to tuck all these in for now, just while we're trialing the fitment. There we go. Out of the way, under the bottom. It can be messy as hell, doesn't matter. It's just the fact that we want to get the stereo in and see how it's going to sit, okay? That's all we're doing at this stage. All right. And we're in. Now, at this stage, you do want to be putting those original screws back in, because as you do it up, it's going to change the angle and the direction of the unit. So just be careful not to drop them and do those factory screws up. All right, now I'm gonna grab the fascia, I'm gonna sit it on there just to make sure we've got it right centered, because you just don't want it to look messy or neat. And also this has a flip down screen, so if it's not centered, it won't flip properly. And here we are. So that's gonna clip on into the holes. And there you go, as you can see, way too low. And you can see it's on a slight angle to the dash, so we wanna create that angle and move it up a little bit. All right, so that's how you trial fit it. You're gonna be in and out a couple of times, but like I said, we're gonna do it for you. We're gonna take a lot of the time now to make sure it's lining up perfectly for these Kenwood units, and we're gonna take a photo top down for you and leave it on the video to make life easy. So we're gonna do that off camera. There you have it, guys. I've just fitted that up. I'm going to show you the brackets, but that's how neat it's going to sit in the dash. It is very neat, okay? I'm going to show you the brackets that we did on the side, on the bench, top down, so you can copy it. Mention this quickly, we actually did cut these little nibs off, okay? Just below the screw holes to make it sit flush and a little bit better. It was just so much easier, and the screws hold it in place anyway, so do trim them off. We just used a flat blade knife, so we just took it, the same knife we used to trim the bottom, we just knobbed them off. Made it really easy for the fitment, okay? Down to the top. Yeah, so what we're gonna do here, guys, this is the brackets lined up. So this is the left-hand side. And what you wanna do is you wanna look at what screw we're in and how much frontage we got. So we've got 2 screws here, a little edge, 3 screw holes, and then you got this full front one available and a back one. The same on top, okay? You just sort of wanna line that up. We're gonna take a photo of this on the YouTube channel, but I'll give you the measurement to the center here. So we're gonna measure here from the front of the edge of the actual chassis, not the unit. It's 32 millimeters, okay, for the bottom bracket. And I'm measuring from the center of this hole where the screw is. And this one, 26, okay? So 26 millimeters, 32 millimeters, all right? And that will give you angles, left and right. And if I flip it, you'll see the same on this side. We just duplicated it, okay? I'm gonna take a photo, a snapshot of that, and we're gonna load it up on this video as I'm talking, so you can actually see that left and right. Mentioning that, this is the bottom of the radio. You can tell by the buttons along the bottom. All right, I didn't tell you that in the first place, but the bottom one is the further away, because that will give it the angle when it's sitting in the dash to face up towards you. And then you can always angle the screen later. It's a motorized screen. All right, we've done that now. We're gonna move the heater control over, because this is our final stages, and we can actually do the wiring, put all the plugs in. Now this one, this is a T20 Torx, a star screw, okay? You can use an Allen screw as well if you have Allen screws or Allen keys. We use screwdrivers all the time, so we call them Allen screwdrivers. But it is technically a Torx, a T20. Keep the old screws. The old screw is what you're going to be using for the new one. Again, if you're sitting things down on its face like this, they don't scratch it. We've got carpeted benches, so just lay a rag down. Make sure you don't do any scratching of your paneling, all right? This is easy, you're just gonna do it up. Suggest hand screwdriver, not drill on this part, because you are just self-tapping into plastic. And don't over tighten, it's only just gotta hold it there. I'll show you the front. Make sure it's all lined up, that's beautiful. They really just self-locate, they're very easy. And now, you're gonna plug those plugs back in, go to the car, put the stereo in, we're gonna show you those plugs, and we're gonna put it all in. All right, so we'll get all our cables back out now. We're gonna neaten this so that when we push it in, it's gonna be really nice and neat. It's always a bit of a jumble. You got excessive cables here, so GPS receiver. Okay, so you really just wanna make sure you got your 2 at the bottom and the rest out the top. Now, there's a lot of space over on the right here and a lot of space over on the left here. And you really want to be using those spaces, because when your radio goes in, you don't want any cables along this bottom edge of this harness. It will hold the unit up in the wrong position, okay? So this bar down here, you really just want to keep them out of the way. So we're going to plug it all in, and this is very easy. We do this in all our videos, and it's very color for color. The only thing you really want to be aware of on the Kenwoods, 3 video signals. You got video out, rear camera, front camera. We're going to use rear camera only on this car, just to undo that. So we're going to do that first, because that's really just the one you need to see. The rest of them, color for color, position for position on the back, they'll only go in one spot. All right, that's that one. We have our GPS. Might do all the longer ones first, it makes it a bit easier. 2 USBs, let's get those out. So we do our USBs, color for color. Again, we're gonna tape these up. We always tape these up. Just makes them not fall out when you're chucking all these cables behind. Don't want to be pulling radios out every time. Yeah, just put it in and out. All right, what else we got? A little microphone is back here. That's very tight. We're gonna do that last. So again, you just want to make sure you got tons and tons of room on this. So we're gonna move it through on the right. Excuse that loud car coming in. On the right hand side, there is a little bit of room, and we're gonna tuck all the cables under there and out of the way. There we go, tons and tons of room. Nice and neat, there we go. Out of the way. So this just takes a little bit of prep work, just to making sure you got everything as out of the way as possible. There is this 8-pin plug. That's going to plug into your hazard switch and your lock switch, which was on the back of the new fascia, so you can do that last. And this is the 4-pin for that speaker on the back there as well. So we're going to continue to plug the rest of these in. GPS receiver. Obviously just do all our short ones last, it just makes it easier for us. DAB antenna, we'll actually plug in. DAB antenna, they're all labeled. I don't have to show you this too much, guys. You can, man, honestly, just look at the back of it. Microphone, which is the short one, and the main power. Now, you can run amps and everything off this, and we've done all the steering wheel control wiring for you, so you don't have to actually plug anything in. It's actually all wired in there, and that's how you've got it. Now, you've got to tuck all this in nice and neatly.
Antenna.
Oh, we forgot the antenna Dave just mentioned, which is good. And that last USB that I actually re-ran. So let's plug that back in. If you're going to use this as one person doing it, it's easier with 2 people. Just put stuff down so you're not scratching any of the dash when you're sitting in it. I'm sitting it on my knee here, obviously, but it's nicer not to do that. Yeah, where is it? That's not the antenna. Where's our antenna going? There she is, sitting underneath. All right, there we go. There's our antenna. So these are a little bit tight. You want to make sure these go all the way in. There we go. And there we have it. Now, as you do all these cables, you want to get them in. The majority of these, or the rest of them, probably want to run on your left-hand side. You've done it a lot on the right there for the original ones. That's all right. Mic. Yeah. Mic's in. So he's just checking the mics in. We're going to duck all this over onto the right as far as possible. You stick your hand underneath, so you've got plenty of room. There we go. And the main idea of all this is just not to have anything on the bottom of the stereo, because you don't want to change the angle. All right, so behind it there's a little bit of room. And there you go, okay? So that's the reason we actually tape a lot of it up. Now you got these 2 down the bottom for your climate controls as it goes back on. You got tons of room down the bottom, but like I said, you want to keep that free. And you have this one here, which is your hazards and everything that we switch on. So we're going to put our screws in. We've done the screws up the top. We have 2 more screws which will actually go back into the head unit. Here they are on the left. And be careful not to drop these. This is your last sort of stages. And we are going to do one more trial fit once we've done these screws up. Again, just to make sure nothing's moved. You want to make sure those screws on the side of the unit are in pretty tight. But as you do these up, you got a little bit of flex, okay? You got a little bit of play. See, up and down, everything like that. So what we do, sort of nib that up. And this is why we actually got rid of those nibs, because we do have a bit of play, and it's quite important that we power it up and we check the motorization of the screen. So we're going to put the fascia back on again and check the motorization to make sure it doesn't clip on anything. Before, again, we have left the clips off here. We've got these cables here, but we've left the clips off. We're going to run them down the side. And there we go. Put those cables in so it can sit on properly. Jeez. Oh, mate. And you go. Okay, so you want to be sitting this in all the positions correctly. Now, there you have it. So we're going to power this on. Do you want to just turn that car on first, Dave? And we're going to check the fascia is going to flip down properly, because see, it's very close to the top, so we might want to move that a fraction down, or if you need to do a little bit of play to the left and right. Again, at this stage now, see the screen up the top looks quite good, but it's got the time and the date, but all your new Kenwood's going to do that, so you can technically leave that part undone if you didn't want to have that on there. It's a bit of a pain to change. You can still change the time and clock, but the Kenwood does it off the GPS. So we're going to turn demo mode off while we're at it. We're going to turn our reverse camera on in the settings there, reverse camera on, turn parking guidelines on and off, and that's the setup completed. All right, like I said, we're just going to test the motorization, but you want to test everything here: Bluetooth mic, Apple CarPlay, USBs. You want to make sure they all work. So here, there you go. See, there was a bit of pressure there. So because of that pressure, when it pushes back up, see it clipping there. So what we're going to do, slide it down a little bit, so it's a little bit too high. There you go. So we just adjusted that down a little bit with that bit of flex and play. And as you can see, there's a little bit of gap along the top there, which is perfect. And angles, man, no creaking, no adjustment needed. So there, that's as simple as it is. We've done a lot of the hard work for you, but these screens are cool because you can actually sit them omnidirectional, so not omni, but different angles for viewing, because it's a gloss screen, but it is anti-glare anyway. And very, very fast operation, and these will all work. So these are the plugs we're going to plug in last. So this is the last step here. We would test all that now, make sure all the Apple CarPlays and that is working. And you got those two plugs to plug in the bottom, but you also have this red one which will go into this big plug there, and that is just doing these hazard switch up the top here. And we're going to clip all that in and also put the clips on. Sorry, I got them in my pocket, so let me grab them. Oh, Dave just mentioned we got the 4-pin other one there as well. I'll have to get that out. Oh, here it is. I did leave that out, which is good. This is the 4-pin speaker. This is for your reverse sensors if you have the optical sensors, and some chimes. That's what that one does, okay? So just plug that in. You got plenty of length. We've loomed it all up ready. These little clips push in. Going well. We've got one more in my pocket somewhere, I think. And you really want to be doing this last, because if you don't do all that trial fitting, you'll be forever popping these clips on and off and on and off. So that is it. It's actually not a bad install when someone shows you those angles. Yep. All right, so just clipping this on, and we're going to plug the plugs in down the bottom. There's two of them. They're easy. I'm not going to show you them. We showed you as you pull them off, so you can't get them wrong. There we go. I'm just making sure the top's okay. Good. Now get all your cables in. All right. And up the top, there's three little locator tabs. Okay. They just sort of make sure it goes in properly. Plug in. Come in. Feels like we're a little bit off or something. Oh, these cables here. Just gonna move them up a little bit. Is that better?
Thanks for the press.
Yeah. There we go. All right. So we've got to get these bottom ones in. They do take a little bit of pressure to push in.
Right.
There we go. So there you go. That was a bit of pressure. They're actually super tight, which is good. Gives you that adjustment. Just make sure all those line up. And again, last fitment, perfect. All right, so it does take a bit of sweat to push those things back in. I had to flex the bottom in, so we quickly did that with 2 hands. It just made us easier to see off film, but that's a very nice fit. You can wipe any finger marks off. And we should, yeah, test our reverse camera. So there's our reverse camera. We've mounted it upside down. We have a loop on our cameras you can cut and it flips them over. So it doesn't matter which way you want to mount them. If you have a tub or a different tray or whatever you got. So see that working. Now we would try our steering wheel controls as well. I would test them first actually before you clip all this in. Okay. There you go, volume up, volume down. Does answer the phone, does everything, track up, track down. Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. So we're going to test these USBs out and show you that quickly as well. 2 USBs, Bluetooth hands-free, everything you need in this new screen. So that's what the top one's going to do. But like I said, if you had the optical sensors, they will still come up in reverse. It still does the beeping, but you can disconnect it. It will still beep even if you don't see it, because you will have a reverse camera now, which is a much better way to go.